Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. So we're here to talk about some props. We've got some awesome prop makers here, and I'll let you guys introduce yourself. If we want to just go straight down the line.
Sure, we go. My name is Daniel. Most people know me by Daniel Prime or Prime Director's Armory.
My name is Danny Castellanos. A lot of people know me as Surf Red Surfer on YouTube.
I'm Ichigo Mike. Some probably know me as K-Rider Ichigo. You see me a lot of my stuff on social media, probably.
Nice. So
Jess.
sorry, I couldn't see you. I'm so sorry.
You're good. You're good. My name is Jess Fountain. Most people know me as Toku Kid.
Sweet. So, from everybody up here, they all have had a chance to work on a number of different costumes and projects using a bunch of different materials. Do you guys have specialties or a specific type of material you like to work with?
I specialize, I would say at this point, with resin and, 3D printing with resin and FDM printers.
Nice.
With my recent projects, everything I've been working on it's just 3D print, and I love it. But foam and a lot of Bondo works great.
Yeah, I do like a lot of my work involves EVA foam, but recently I'm starting to do 3D printing and all. So yeah.
I'm mostly into 3D printing, but my specialty is mold making, casting, resin casting.
Nice. And so have you all made props for different like films or fan films or mainly cosplay? Both?
All the above. I started out as like kit bashing. My first real costume was an Optimus Prime. It was like 8 feet tall, so it had a lot of wood for the stilts. And then I took real motorcycle and car parts and just hacked it. And then today, it's mainly 3D models that I'll find online and then print those.
So for those who don't know, what exactly is kit bashing?
You basically just take something that like go down the Home Depot aisle, and if it looks like a leg, it's gonna become a leg. Or if you're, you need like Gundam people, like people that do Legos and Gundam, they probably understand it more. Like you'll take your kit that's like a mod for a certain scale model, but you'll just cut it and hack it and make it into what you need it for.
Nice.
Like the Star Wars crew, they basically built the entire like set out of kit bashed.
Very cool. And so that can help you out because it just gives new ideas, or it makes the process faster.
I think it makes the process faster for one. Like one of the more famous ones is Liam Nielsen's communicator was a lady's leg leg shaver.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So someone just saw that it looked futuristic, and they cut the top off and put a couple of weird little antenna looking things, and there you go.
They painted it silver.
Looks
just threw it on.
the most recent.
Interesting.
Sorry, I'm not going to try to take over the whole thing, but the most recent one was you go to Harbor Freight and there's this flashlight that rotates, and they painted it all black, and that was on
Book of Boba Fett. Right?
Yeah, it was
Book
on
of Boba Fett. Yeah,
That's great. And I know that you, Danny, have made a lot of props for films.
Well, we are at a Power Rangers convention, and I do a lot of Power Ranger content, and I used to get the Bandai toys, and I guess I kind of kick bashed them to make them look like what they did in the show. So I would get like foam swords, chop that off, and put it on the toy handle, and there was a sword.
Oh, nice.
But whenever I needed anything for my projects, I did a SPD video with the Predator, and I needed like it was hard. The Predator costume is so cool and it's so detailed.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I gonna pull off with shoulder cannon and stuff? And then that's when we dipped into 3D printing. And it's so accessible. And then that was like the first project, and I legit just took it off the printer.
Yeah.
And spray painted it silver. I didn't even sand it or anything. And that's on my film. But it's like now, I know, okay, we need a sand, do a coat of primer and then make it look nice and pretty.
How did you guys do that helmet?
So I found a few files. I wish I could remember the person who created it because I'd love to give credit to them. But I purchased the file and it came in like 7 different pieces. And I was able to literally print this in like a day because I'm very blessed. I have a whole fleet of printers. So I printed every piece and like 24 hours later we're assembling it. And
Wow.
but I wish I could say that I'm proficient at 3D modeling. That's the next evolution or the next tool.
It's a
that
work in progress.
I need
Yeah.
to.
You're
I
now
need to
modeling faces for people.
I did. I wish I would have brought.
Yeah,
I have a
saw
Danny.
that.
I have a little miniature Danny in the scale of a Starship Trooper that I did for him. Everybody thinks it looks close enough, but how we did it was go find a 3D modeler or go on Etsy or go on. I like the website I like to go to first is Cults 3D.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of Starship Trooper. A lot of Power Ranger stuff already exists. This being one of them, and 20. Within a week you can have this.
Nice.
But the process for this is like, it's printed in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces, and it's not all just 3D printed.
Right.
This is actually foam
Yeah.
that I just cut out, and this is foam too, and then we just Velcroed it.
So a little bit of mix of everything to make it look
Yeah.
perfect.
Also scaling, like helmets can be tricky, because the
Getting
file,
people's-
the person who created the file most likely made it towards to their head. I remember when we printed the first one, it was way too small, and then we measured Danny's head, and then we start to get it. The second one was way too big.
So was there a way for you to figure it out from the actual program, or did you just enlarge it until it was,
No,
like you said, too large and then had to shrink it
my
back down?
my problem, if any of you guys have done this, like my issue was I forgot to measure that there's this. So when I measured Danny's head, I'm using a calibration tool and I'm only thinking of the outside,
yeah.
like from here to here. And then when you go put it on, it's like you got all this extra space. So it was my fault.
Yeah.
User error.
It's a learning process.
User
yeah,
error.
exactly.
Weapons, it's very different. They're usually scaled properly. Swords, blasters, whatever. But when it comes to helmets, it comes to helmets with visors. Like talk to this guy down here, Mike. Like,
Yeah.
dude,
Mike
he knows helmets with visors. That's still something I'm learning.
So actually, while we're down there, so
I'm trying to toss it
yeah,
over.
no. Do you also do props for fan films and stuff like that?
Well, I do cosplays just mainly from Kamen Rider. I've
Nice.
done like a few Kamen Rider suits. I did like I think 2 versions of Kamen Rider Ichigo. Did Kamen Rider Kuga. I did Kamen Rider V3, and I did like crossover cosplay of Kamen Rider with web series called Ruby. Who's probably heard of it? Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think these guys know a little bit about what we're talking about. He's looking at
Yeah, my people are like
some
right
people
there.
back here got their hands in like, yeah, I'm feeling you.
So, making a full helmet that goes over all of your head, that's got to be quite a process, right?
Yeah.
I would love to hear a little bit more about it.
Okay. I actually got the pattern for the helmet from someone from Facebook.
Nice.
As I was asking people like, "Hey, where do I get to find like foam paper templates for like this specific Kamen Rider?" And someone reached up to me, and I was like, "Oh, thank God!" So I
Gotta love the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just like
what is that? Peppercore or something.com?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Prepakura. So I just just printed the templates. I didn't really like resize the thing or anything. I just print first and just
Kind of
cut.
cross your fingers.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just winged it.
Nice.
That's the best.
Nice.
That's the best.
And speaking of working with visors, what's that like?
Oh! Actually, these things, the eye where you see through visors, those are actually just plastic film or like a sheet of plastic, just cut and glue on inside the helmet.
Nice. Very cool.
I was wondering. Okay, so this guy down here with you, Danny, you know the series. I'm gonna get in so much trouble. The Blue Ranger, the pirate, the
Go Kaiser.
Go Kaiser down at the end. So did you make this? Okay, you made it. You did something. You did something awesome, apparently.
Oh, that's Nico.
Okay, so the visor. Since we're on the topic of visors, did you make that visor?
Oh, nice.
I would
You
love
need.
to-
Let's get a
I would
chair. We
love
need
to
this
try
guy. We
that
need this guy up
for me.
here. Let's bring this dude up here. What are your Instagram and all that? Where can we follow you?
Desert Fair cosplay.
And I can
Okay.
tell you, his files are amazing.
So
Yeah.
I'm guessing the process is you vacuum formed a clear transparent, and then you just use window tint. And but the visor specifically, did you window tint it? I mean the one on the end, the helmet on
Gokai Blue.
the Gokai
Yeah.
Blue.
Very
Okay.
cool.
I'm only asking because a lot of people make that type of visor, and it's one of the most like go-to
Yeah.
first trials. So
Vacuum
you
seals.
vacuum formed that?
Yeah. Wow.
It's funny that we're the ones up here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that is. It's very
Oh.
cool though.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Desert Fair over here, Nico, his files are amazing because I'm a big fan of Kamen Rider Saber, and
Uh-huh.
I've 3D printed full-size swords just from the show. He ruined the toys for me. I can only do one-to-one props because of him now.
Nice.
That's a
nice.
good file. That's awesome. So yeah, while we're down there, have you? Do you also make stuff for web series, mainly cosplay?
Most of my stuff is replicas you can buy. Like currently, I do Energems, Wild Force crystals, and recently that I'm going to start selling tomorrow is the Samurai amulet from Power Rangers Ninja Storm.
Oh, nice. Do you have a booth here?
I'm going to be selling tomorrow and Sunday at the Illuminati booth.
Oh, there we are.
The Megazord booth. Just look for the thing that looks like the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger cockpit, the Megazord cockpit.
Perfect. So, I was wondering when is there a different process when you're working on like a replica versus when you're doing stuff for cosplay? Is there a different process that you take for whether it be shot on camera or versus film?
Let's start down with Mike.
Yeah.
Because we kind of
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well,
Or Jess and
I
Mike.
just think that I just make sure can I actually move very much in this cosplay, and see if can this look good on camera. That's the process I just think of when I do my cosplays.
Nice,
film.
nice. And tweak it until perfection.
Well, funny enough, Nico, again, I learned a lot from him. I learned to make props that look good on camera, but when you see up close, you can see print lines. Like that, getting the photo is what I prefer instead of getting perfect exact detail in the prop when you're face to face with it.
Yeah, I get that. Absolutely. And you too?
Well, for me, mainly it has to look nice on camera. Just because when I'm making a prop, especially like something like this or a sword, I do one because I dedicate my whole time just sanding and making it look pretty. But the problem is, I personally don't know how to do like a stunt version of that.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
My when I make the props, I try to make them look like picture ready, and that's one of my biggest faults because I only have one, and if it breaks, it's game over.
Oh no.
And then because I Daniel knows more about molding and stuff, but I don't know how to mold, and Jesse probably knows how to mold too. But it's like, how do you mold the giant sword?
It takes a lot of silicone.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of
Tons of
silicone, or a lot of people use like molding clay, to get one side, and it's a process, and it's just like I'm an impatient person, so like even when I'm done primering my prop, I'm just like, are you dry yet? I want to start painting. But that's my process.
my process is like I have to find out what the client is most wanting. Again, I've been very blessed over the last like 5 years that I went from one level to another to now I have plenty of work, and it's all word of mouth. So, but mine is like it starts with like, what do you want? Do you want this to look good on camera, or do you need it to be sturdy? Or is it just going to be on your mantle? Whatever. So that's mine. And then, like, for example, back to the Predator one, if you guys get a chance, Predator versus SPD on We the Geeks vs. LA, it's a fun little project that Danny did. He was a client at that time, and he's like, hey, I want a Predator shoulder cannon.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a 3D printer at the time. It was still in the mail. And so we kit bashed. So I took a Nerf gun, cut it, because he's like, I just need it to look
And
like
it looked great.
He loved it.
It looked
Yeah.
great. He added like the Predator, like the writing and gestures.
language.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
language
So
on it
engraved into it.
on this like Nerf gun that he like destroyed, and it looked like a cool shoulder cannon.
I kit bashed that because, again, client, what does he want? He's like, it just needs to look like it belongs in the world of. It doesn't have to be 100% replica.
Yeah.
And then, you deep dive into research, like what do they look like? And then you find out like, 5-6 Predator movies exist and they all kind of look, the same, but not identical. And then I found like the language is kind of on there. So I laser engraved that. That was a cool part of that project. I got a laser cutter, stenciled out the language in like
It's a beautiful piece.
Photoshop, and he loved how it looked. Unfortunately, when I put it on, I'm thinking as now a cosplayer actor, that was the next step. Like, this isn't for just a mantelpiece. This is going on an actor for his film. And I'm like trying to move around with it, and it was failing completely.
Was it
And
like falling off, or
It
what
was just too heavy because
Mm.
I made it out of a Nerf. Like, originally started with a Nerf, and then it was bulky.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, he was actually really happy with it. But I'm like, dude, because he had a shoulder piece, but it was the foam one,
Yeah.
and it wasn't really secure. It was like, what was it? The
It
Party
was
City costume.
It was a motorcycle gear.
Okay, but either way, so the next step was then my printer came in. I was like, Danny, I can make you one that looks just like the one from the movie, and I can do infill. So then you learn about infill, which is like how much inside the item is like filled in, and you can make it lighter, where you compromise in strength, but now it's lighter.
Yeah.
So now the actor had something that wasn't so bulky and heavy. Again, he still loves the first one, and every time he comes to my shop, he's like, "That is a beautiful," and I love him for that. But that's kind of the process for me.
Yeah.
What does the client want, and then what is this going to be doing?
Where you can bring it.
And
to.
then you're still
Change
out
it.
there, guys. If you guys are getting into this to take on clients, it's called qualifying. You need to qualify them to themselves, and you have to go through this checklist of what do you need it to do, what is it going to be doing, and what's your wish list, and then where can we dial it back, what's being extra, and then also find out in writing, not just a verbal handshake, but in writing, what is the most important features that they care about for this product. Because I promise you, on day of delivery, there's 9 times out of 10 they're not happy.
So,
Even though you delivered on what you read.
yeah.
When you're cold contact people, like they're just trying to get that deal, or they're trying to renegotiate something. I'm just telling you guys, look out for those.
So, to give the people an idea of some of the stuff that you guys have made in the past, I'd love to hear what project are you guys most proud of that you made, or the most challenging one for you? Yeah,
My
Just-
daughter.
yeah.
My daughter. Yeah.
That's fair. That's a
Proud
good
and-
answer.
Proud and challenging. Not good. Let these guys go. No, I'll get serious.
My build I'm proud of is my first helmet, which was the very first thing I printed and first prop I finished, which I was told not to do because I ended up breaking my printer,
Oh no!
which I think was the best thing to happen because it got me ingratiated in how to learn to fix it, how to problem solve. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and I think that made me a better maker for that.
How long was the print? Do you remember?
Because I didn't know what I was doing, I separated the helmet in like 3 or 4 pieces, and each piece was on a high resolution, so it would come out really good quality.
Yeah.
I was printing for 2 weeks straight when it should only take me 2 to 3 days.
That's why it broke.
Damn.
Yeah.
Hold on. Did I hear you right? It for 2 weeks it was printing.
Yep.
And it failed.
It failed. I redid some parts. That's why I said everything went wrong the first 2 weeks of printing, but that's what made me a better printer. Now I can do a
Gotcha,
helmet
yeah.
in like 2 to 3 days at most.
Yeah. Wow. And how many printers do you have now?
I have 2 regular filament printers, that just plastic rolls, and a resin printer. I'm trying to get a third filament printer.
I have 2 that are still in the box.
I got like 1 filament and 1 resin printer.
Nice. Nice.
How many do you have?
I
Your shop is my shop.
I pay him to do my
We
prints,
have-
and I do all the labor work.
We have how many do we have, Danny? We have 10 resin.
You have
No,
an
we have.
army.
Sorry, we have.
You
we,
just got a huge resin printer.
Jess saw it today.
Oh
Jess saw it
yeah,
today. So
he
we
bought
have
a giant resin printer
we
because
have
resin printers are usually small, and he got one where the plate is like my torso.
Oh my god!
So you can get so much done, and it's so much
Huge.
material
Do you know the-
wasted to go print.
it's okay. You want me to give a shit this printer?
Yeah, the
do
shout
know.
out to it,
I
yeah.
know. I know the name of all my printers. That's Trouble 1, Trouble 2, the Unreliable number 4. I give them all little names, but the one he's talking about is called the Anycubic Mono M3 Max.
Oh, nice.
Or the M3 Max. But anyway,
Love
it's big.
Anycubic.
So the geeks. So we do our most everything together. We have 9 FDM printers, which is the plastics that makes the plastic ones, and then we have 3 resin printers.
Nice. And so printers often have a reputation of.
Oh wait, I want
Great.
to answer the question first. 'Cause
Oh,
did you
okay,
say
yeah.
You were proud of what? What are you proud of?
Oh man.
Sorry,
No, you're all good. No.
Because I want to plug something
No,
that's here
absolutely.
that they should be excited for. That's going to be here tomorrow.
I'm proud of all my projects, man. I you know, like every time I do something, I fall in love with it.
Lost
and
Child is your favorite.
it is, you know. But you know, like I love my SPD video, and I really love what we did for props for that, because I did a lot of kickbash to make the Predator costume,
Mhm.
because you know I'm not a huge production. I work on a budget. So I bought the Predator costume from a Halloween store, and it was like $80. And I went to a thrift shop and I found motorcycle gear, so I threw that on there, and I kickbashed the costume together. And I bought the Jimmy here bought the Predator mask on eBay, and then I just spray painted it, sanded it, made it look different and unique, because you know all the Predators look different.
Yeah.
And Daniel printed the shoulder cannon and the shuriken, and you know, like I fall in love with these projects. You know, it's all in a budget, and I think the whole Predator suit together was less than $120 that you know went into it. You know.
Was there a specific prop on the Predator set that you were proud of?
And the costume,
Just the whole costume.
the whole
putting it
costume was
together.
a
Yeah,
prop
the whole
piece,
thing.
you know,
You see his cousin in it, and you're just like, "Wow, dude, this is cool."
And then you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
right now, you know, the Lost Child, you know, we're is now being a series, and
Is
you
that
know,
somebody's signature in there?
yeah, Johnny Riku actually signed this, and this, you know, I'm proud of this, you know, and this is something I'm going to be using in that film a lot, and yeah, you know,
If you're here for the next panel, you'll see this helmet
Yes.
in his episode of
And you
Lost
definitely should be. It's going to be a good one.
Child. So the one that I'm the most proud of is like this tomorrow or today. You guys can go see the Megazord Cockpit.
that's true.
That
that's
was
a huge prop.
we made the version
Very
1.
large
Yeah,
prop, yeah.
that was the first one we made. Everyone we loved it.
Yeah.
You guys
But-
were here for the last PMC, right? You guys saw the Megazord Cockpit. That was this guy right
Really
here.
cool.
He built that in what, a week?
5 days.
5
Oh, my
days.
Lord.
So this one we had more time. This one is a much better version. We made this one handicap accessible. We made this one a lot more portable. So it's kind of like what Danny said earlier. Like every single project, it's like the first one, like I'll always remember. But this one, I'm so proud of it because we took a lot more things into consideration, like mobility, longevity, and then also, you know, the one thing that was frustrating last time is, you know, a couple of people couldn't get inside because there's only like they only give you 10 feet of space
Yeah.
from the back of your booth to the front, and you know we have to cram in all these chairs, and then so we only had like this much room to walk in and get in, and now you know wheelchairs can't go through and all this stuff, and so I'm really proud that we were able to learn from our previous like lack of just awareness.
Yeah.
And so there was that.
So you changed up a few things for this new one?
The new one we made to where now the whole nose piece, that very center nose piece, you could just pull it out, and now it's wide enough for someone to
Go in and
in
out.
through the front.
Oh.
You still have the access to the back, but that was one of the first changes when we went to redesign this one. We're like, we need to make sure we have where there's no limitations of who can get in and get out of this thing.
Absolutely.
And
That's
we built
great.
around that model.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ichigo, did we get
Oh.
yours?
Well, the thing I'm most proud of is basically any writer suit or prop that I've made in my life. You know, being just one guy doing everything, and I'm just proud of that. I can't believe I actually made all these stuff by hand.
Yeah.
Especially with my Kamen Rider Ichigo suit. I really love this cosplay just because of how durable and how much I could move a lot in this suit. And
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
What's your budget?
Oh.
Like to make like all this, what's your budget?
$80, I think, and the jacket
That's
is
awesome.
raided from my parents' closet. That's how I did it.
That's awesome.
And the boots, I just bought like women's boots at a thrift store in Sabers, and they worked out just perfectly fine.
So that actually brings me to my next question. What is the how is it different when you're working on a smaller budget versus when if you have like somebody like a client that's wanting to make something for thousands of dollars?
Well, here's the thing. I don't take commissions, so I can't really answer that because I'm my own commissioner.
Fair.
Yeah, me
fair.
too. I haven't done
Was the
one,
question,
but I'm willing to do
How
it.
do you? What was the question again?
So, what's the difference in the process when you're working on something that you have a small budget for versus when you're working with a client or someone that is willing to spend thousands of dollars on a project?
Okay.
I think the way I can answer this for me personally is like, dude, if somebody gave me like $2,000 when I was filming The Predator, I'd legit buy something that looked like The Predator. I wouldn't make it. I'd commission it, you know. But it's like if you're giving me like I said, you know, it cost me like less than $120. I work with what I can utilize
Absolutely.
that money with, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I worked on one commission for because mostly I do crystals just because I'm a fanatic for crystals. I just go stupid for them, so I focus on Rangers because it's so many crystal props. I got commissioned to do the crystal eyes from Jungle Fury. I posted a few pics of my duds and okay ones. The ones I got in the final product for the customer was pretty screen accurate, but they didn't want me posting pictures, and they're never going to post pictures. That was just for their own personal collection. They gave me the chance and the money to experiment and really get as close as I can to that prop that I couldn't do on my own because I didn't have the budget for it.
Absolutely. So, what were some of the experiments you were doing with it?
Anything from a lot of it was trying to match the pattern on these eyes because it looks like the prop makers just kind of quickly made lizard eyes.
Okay.
So you had like these splotches that were hard to replicate because it looks like it was just splashed on.
Yeah.
So I went from everything from like shining powder to paint to weird different resin mixes. The final combo I got was just literally just splattering it on.
Oh wow.
That was the only way I can get the effect to match what it was seen on screen.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I want to ask anybody out here because I'd like to answer it specifically if someone has a question like, are you doing this because you're trying to work in your profit? Like you're actually trying to do this to get paid? Like you got $2,000 and is this your budget for your project, or are you trying to know like how do I work in my profit margin? So I think there's like two ways to answer this question. So is anybody out there specifically currently working on a project that they might have $2,000 and it's your film? Because I think Danny is the one. That's why I asked him to be on this panel, is because he knows how to make all of his video are under like way under budget.
Yeah.
He really knows how to be smart and thrifty and very wise with every single dollar because it's all coming out of his pocket.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about like, I just recently had a client, they're like, this is my budget. I have $3,000. I want this built. That's a whole different way of answering that question. So is anyone out there like really wanting to know this answer a specific way? Okay. No?
Oh.
Both. Okay. So let's start with Danny because I specifically wanted him here for that reason alone.
Well, I mean, okay, like usually my budgets for things, I don't like starting a production if I don't have everything ready, because if I start saying, oh, we're gonna start filming, like I give myself a deadline, like, oh, we're gonna start filming in like next month, you know, and I have nothing ready, I'm shooting myself in the foot, because I'm working my job, and now I'm like, okay, I have to take care of financial stuff first, and then whatever's leftovers for my project. So I rather make a list of things, like, for example, I'm gonna keep using the Predator because that's something I worked on. For example, all the Power Ranger stuff for SPD I had. It wasn't a problem. There were like simple little gadgets and things that I needed for it. So I made a list. Okay, SPD. I'm gonna need like data cards. I'm gonna need a specific morpher, and I write that in that list. And then I have the Predator, which is like everything because I didn't have a Predator costume. So then I start making, okay, I'm going to need a mask. How much is that going to cost? And then I start giving myself, okay, I'm going to save this much for this paycheck. What am I going to invest it in? And or I start reaching out to my team and see what they can help me out with. And once I have that checklist of like, okay, I have this, I have this, I have this, I start organizing everything. Now it's like, okay, now I can start my production. Now I can start filming, So I usually don't keep a list of how much I spend, but it helps me with not disencouraging myself of like, oh man, I'm never gonna film this. I don't have this prop or that and I don't give myself excuses. I rather have the list of like, okay, this is now checked off, this is not checked off, and the budget. I try to keep everything under budget, and if there is that one thing I must buy, and it's like $300, okay, I need to save up for that because I really need it, or what is the cheapest way to go on about that? For example, I think the mask was like one of those things. It's like I found rubber masks. They look too cheap, and whoever's going to be my actor is going to be sweating in that rubber mask. I don't want them, rubber against your face. It starts irritating your skin. So I was like, I don't want to do that. And then, Jimmy sent me a link to like, oh dude, there's this plastic mask on Amazon and it's like black, and I was like, I can work with that. I can paint it, add Bondo to it, make it look different. And we bought that for I don't know, like $30. Yeah, and we did commission data cards, for like the SPD stuff. But like that's my process of like, okay, this is all done. Now I can start scheduling a production. Who's gonna be my actors and stuff like that. So but that's the budgety area, I guess.
So I also know that recently you worked on I think it's for the most recent project that we're going to be talking about in the next panel, but you made a very large project, large
Yes.
piece, and that was, I'm guessing, from what I understand, very budget friendly.
It was budget. Okay, so if you guys, you guys are familiar with Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, right? Okay, the Quasar Saber rock. I for my project I needed that Quasar Saber rock. I didn't buy any Quasar Sabers because I had all those. Personal fan here. And I had no idea how to make a rock. And it's like super easy.
Call the WWE.
So
he's available.
But
for everything.
What was the question?
So how did you make that? That's a very large prop. You kept it super under budget, you said?
Yeah. So dude, guys, YouTube is like your best friend with trying to learn things. YouTube is your best friend.
Yeah.
I looked up how to make a rock, and then it just slapped me in the face. Paper mache. I've been doing that since kindergarten. Come on. And I went to Home Depot. I got chicken wire. I formed the rock, and I just got an Elmer's gallon of glue. That was like $7. The chicken wire was I want to say it was like $20, and I just went around little shops, and I just took a bunch of their newspaper, and water's free, so I just grabbed the hose, and there it was, paper macheing this rock.
How long did it take for you to make the whole giant rock?
To make it look like a rock, I used a lot of primer and a lot of rock texture paint. So it took about, I want to say,
like a month.
A month and a half, just
Wow.
because it was one of those things where it's like I'm excited, I'm doing this, and then I'm tired, I'll get to it, and then a week passes by, and then I'm like, I should probably finish that. So yeah, that's why it took long. But I mean, it wasn't a rough process. But dude, I spent not even $100 on making that.
Nice.
So I'll be brief with my part, which is more like when you're dealing with a client with a like $2,000 to $3,000 budget.
Can I add something? I'm so sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That's why
When you're working with a client, it's a lot difficult. When you're doing something for yourself, I think it's more easier because you know what you want and you're not constantly like, hey, does this look good or this? You're making it look good for you, you know? And now you can talk about a client.
Yeah, a lot of times it is like that. Like you're more forgiving on your stuff because you're just trying to at some point get it done.
Yeah.
But for clients, you're already anticipating that it's never going to be good enough. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm at a place where the client base that I have, we get along really well. We're 9 times out of 10 always on the same page. I'm kind of just gearing this towards the pitfalls of when I first got into client based prop making, movie set making, and costume making. You want to find out as early in the game what is their budget. So I'm going to give you a horror story that I did. I thought I learned this lesson and I didn't. And so like a month ago, this guy had been asking me for months to check out these files because he wants a full like a Mando type suit.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say what he wants, but it was basically like head, shoulders, chest, armor, legs, shins, feet, everything.
Full suit of armor.
Full suit of armor. But it wasn't a Mando. And so I finally looked at him. So first step is I should have found out what his budget was from the get-go. I didn't. That bit me in the butt the very last day. So I spent like a month just trying to tweak his helmet size, find out his measurements. That was a headache because he had no clue how to measure himself. So you got to educate your client on, how what's this size?
Yeah.
And then what is the size of your helmet? So we're doing all that. And the second step, so after you find out what their budget is first, second is trying to come up with a language that they can understand what you're trying to build for them. And then what are they trying to accomplish? Is this thing, do you want me to do everything or do you just want me to print it? Because you can give them options if you know their budget. And then you can decide if you want to take them on based off their budget. Because you also, are you going to be spending, like a full thing like that will take about 2 months. If you want to do a really good job. So now you're going to just be working on this project for 2 months. And sometimes they don't like the hard truth that this is what I do for a living now. And I'm not trying to, you unfortunately can't do everything for free.
Yeah.
Okay. So if their budget is $3,000, just look at these guys' costumes over here. You built that yourself, right? I'm guessing if you had to sell that, that's about a $4,000 to $6,000 costume to sell to a client. That's being nice, right? That's being very nice. I would assume, right? Not everybody you meet, first off, is going to realize like how much, because they're just thinking how much it costs to make.
Yeah.
And then they look at Party City and they go, well, I could just do it myself. And you're like, well, then just go do it yourself. And they're like, yeah, but I love you. And then there's that part, trying to not get caught up in the flattery. So my advice to you guys, one, know their budget as soon as possible. And then decide for yourself, how long is this going to take me to make? And is it going to be worth it?
Yeah.
And don't come, like, I'm not saying come at them like from a high horse standard, just like at least be as able to communicate to them as possible. Like, look, I would like to do this project. This is right up my alley. I love making nerd culture props. This is like my favorite world to live in, but you also have to make a living. The second thing is like trying to understand like what do they want? What is it going to be used for? And how long does it need? If it's just something that needs to be get on set, and then again, it all really does start with their budget. But here's what always ends up happening: they want to pay as little as possible, almost all the time. And then they want way more. Like 2 months into the project, I guarantee you, they will ask you for something else on top of what you already agreed on. So you got to get everything in writing. So I'm just saying, if you're taking on a client for your business, what is their budget, what are they trying to accomplish, and get everything that you agree on in writing. That's the best advice I can give you guys, because it will bite you in the butt at the end.
Nice, yeah. And so when you are working with a client, do you how often do you send progress pics and things like that? Because I know, I mean, part of what cosplay does in general is just it makes something that looks obviously nothing like the thing you're trying to make into what you're trying to make. So I would assume giving progress pics too soon, or just build too many, or whatever might get in the way of all that.
With a trusted client like Danny, I send progress pics like way too many. I get excited over every process.
Yeah.
Like every single part of the process. I'm like, look, oh, check this out. But there are times when you're, then you have the client that wants updates way too often. And like with Danny, I trust him. He knows my process. We've worked together for many, many years. When you have those clients who they only found you through Instagram and they reached out to you because they're like, hey, I've seen that you made this. Can you make maybe this for me instead? And when they start asking for progress, I'm just assuming that you guys want to know like my method. I would suggest that you guys never send updates until it's almost 90% done, because they don't always see the vision. Like, you as artists are going to know what it's supposed to look like, or why you're where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time with them, they just can't, they're too excited too.
Yeah.
Or they just may not know if you're even working on it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have been burned in the cosplay industry, unfortunately. Like, someone will get a 3D printer and then they think now they're in business.
Totally.
And they take on like 5 clients and then they're like, I'm working on it. One guy who doesn't probably need to be made has a great reputation, but will spend 5 years on your helmet. So sometimes people just want project.
I see heads nodding.
So some people just want project update pics. So
absolutely,
build a good rapport with your client so that they trust your process.
So I do want to open up the floor to some questions in just a second. But just briefly, I'd love to go down the line one more time and just hear, what are you guys currently working on, if anything? Just very briefly.
Let's start with Jess.
Currently, I'm trying to make a full set of Mr. Force wands. I'm trying to get them full scaled mold, so I don't have to keep making one individually. I can just pour in the resin and just paint the branch just to have them ready to sail.
Oh, nice. And then it's good to go.
Nice, very nice. I'm making a Judge Dredd suit, the Carl Urban 2012 version for these guys.
Oh, yes.
I already made the helmet.
I got so
like
excited.
the suit and the log gear and stuff. So I can't wait to like do that project with these guys.
As soon as we saw him post the first picture, I created a Facebook group and we're like, we're making a movie. We're all making Dredd costumes and we're making a movie.
I am the law.
He is the law.
I am I have a Time Force project I wanted to do with a friend, and we're building Circuit. So that's the project I'm working on. I just finished Navi, and I give it to Ryota.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't missed it. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you got to do that. I printed it for him, so I was like, it was like I am currently working on. If you guys are you guys familiar with Dimensions in Danger? From I am going to get in trouble.
Ninja Steel.
Gosh, I watch these shows. I do. I promise you guys. So tomorrow we will have two replica beds of when they put the Rangers on those beds to transfer their essence to
to make the clones.
To make the clones. So that's my current project that I will finish tonight that will be available for photo ops tomorrow.
Oh, and you can put your own
Very
helmet
cool.
on, just like the
Yeah.
show. So it's like a
Right,
clone of
Jess
your own
actually
Ranger.
saw it. So if you want to just talk it up, man, go right ahead. It sounds better when somebody else talks you up.
Yeah.
I like the tables he's making is great because the stand at the head had the Rangers helmets, and that's the clone robot you got. So if you have your own suit, you can put your helmet there to display like you're getting a clone of your own guy.
Oh,
It
that's
could even
great.
be a Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
I see a clone right there. He's right there.
So
Sweet. So, I would love to open up for the last 10 minutes of the panel, open up to the audience. If you guys have any questions about prop making and perfect.
Yeah, feel free.
Oh, I know where he's going.
Oh,
Do you know my story?
no, I don't think so.
Can I go first, guys? Is it okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
go for
so
it.
I was working on Bloodline of the Grid, and Patrick gets to reprise his role as the Red Psycho Ranger. And he's never actually physically held the Psycho Saber. So I make a Psycho Saber. I was commissioned to make a Psycho Saber. We deliver it to him on set. Within 5 minutes of him having it, he breaks it on set.
How'd it break?
But it was kind of like a bittersweet moment because I'm seeing a grown man so damn excited to have this thing that's iconic to his character, and he was just wielding it like a little kid
Yeah.
has like a stick and thinks it's like Excalibur, and he was just like, "This is awesome!" And the awning or the
canopy?
canopy. Thank you. I know English in words, guys. I really do. He whacks the tip of it on the top of the canopy, and it just snaps like an inch off
Man,
the top.
this reminds me when my Revolcane for my black RX suit broke the first time I brought it to Anime Los Angeles. Like I was doing like a fight scene with a Sora from Kingdom Hearts cosplayer, and I was doing that, and I swung too hard, the thing breaks.
Oh,
man.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, and you could like, if you watched, I have the video on YouTube. When you watch it, you could just hear me say, "Oh shit," when the thing broke. It's really damn funny.
Could probably hear your heart break too
There's
the
no-
second the tip.
There's no children here. We're good.
Um,
What about you, Jess?
Personally, once the prop is in your hand, if you bought it from me, it's up to you. You do whatever you want with it. One time it did hurt because it was one of the very first crystals I sold. And I keep mentioning this to people. They're not bouncy balls. They are hard
No.
crystal resin. And the person's like, "Nah, it's fine," and just smashes it on the ground.
Oh no.
And that one kind of hurt because it was one of the first sales I ever made. And like
Yeah.
I prefaced it, it's like they're not bouncy balls. They're not. They're hard crystal. I even showed like a test where it's a hard knock on the table.
Was this seconds after they bought it?
It's like right after they got through the mail, the first few videos
Oh,
this is
no.
great. I can't wait to bounce. I'm like, bounce it, and then the video continues on and it's shattered on the floor.
Oh no.
I got
That's when I learned to have a disconnect with my props. Once they're in the person's hand, I don't care what you do with it. I don't want to see it. Oh, those are really hard to do, man. I've been trying to do bouncy balls a while.
Don't you love when somebody suggests something that's not in your wheelhouse and you're just like, I feel like a failure? Like you're already really good at what you do, but then that one thing you're not even trying. They're like, I'm a
trying.
failure.
I have one. It was the first time I was ever working on a 3D print, and it was a Quasar Saber, and it was a beautiful print, and I didn't know about sanding, 3D prints, and I sanded it for like 2 weeks, and then when I finally primered it, it looked beautiful, and we shot a video with it. It was cool, and then I was taking care of it. It was like my baby.
Leave it in the sun?
It was my baby, and I would like wrap it, and I was like, "This is my Quasar Saber," and I put a metal bar in the 3D print because I thought, "Oh, it won't break like this," And then I put it in my office, and we started working on this new project, and I was like, "Oh, I get to take her out again," And when I go into my office, I take it out and I start unwrapping it. It snapped in half.
Oh, that's the one, the Quasar Saber.
Yeah.
Oh,
And my heart just like, I was like, oh no.
he fixed it, guys.
Oh.
He did a beautiful job fixing it, though.
I fixed it, but like at the moment when you're like, oh man, I worked on you like for
It's so
half a
devastating.
month and you're broken.
I'm just curious. Sorry, I'm just curious. So, did we answer your question? Are you just kind of wanting stories of how we deal with like this? Because So Jess is more like he disconnects immediately. They're not his babies. He's just like, I made it. It's yours. Thank you for the money.
Once
And
it's in
then
the
we're
customer's
very
hand,
attached
it
to
doesn't exist
everything
anymore to
we-
me.
Like everything we make, it's like it's a little baby, and you're like, please be careful with it.
There's a lot of time and effort in that.
Yeah.
I saw some questions. A question up here.
Mine's real fast, so
Well, I have a never made a Power Rangers prop before, but my first Power Ranger series was Ninja Storm. My parents had like DVDs of it when I was like a little kid,
It's a good series.
but I haven't gone fully into Power Rangers and the whole entire Tokusatsu thing right until I was a freshman in high school. So that's when I got fully into like everything else: Tokusatsu, Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, that kind of stuff.
Very
And,
cool.
I never like made like a Power Rangers prop before, but wait, what was the second?
Jess
question?
can go next because Danny still needs time.
I don't really know what my first Ranger season I watched was, just because I had cousins slightly older and younger than me, so I just watched everything at once. So it's just all a blur. That's why I don't have a favorite season, except if they have crystals, obviously.
Yeah.
As for first Ranger prop, it was also a crystal. It was an Energem prop. When I started getting into casting, I had handcrafted
Energem's
clay Energem, made a mold, and used resin casting for the first time, where I pour in the mixture, and I got a thing of gel because I didn't know how to mix properly. I didn't know you're supposed to put in a warm environment, so it never cured. Or other gems I did, they came out rubbery, so you could stretch it, it could bend, and it would snap back into place.
I don't remember what my first Power Ranger prop was.
I know you
I-
remember your first Power Ranger movie though. Like, what series did you start?
Oh,
with?
the series I started with, man, I was little. It was Power Rangers Turbo, and I would catch the reruns of Mighty Morphin and Zeo. But yeah, but I don't know my first Power Ranger prop.
I was there when the language was first written.
Oh.
Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I was there when the words were crafted. But so obviously Mighty Morphin was my first experience. I was, in high school, like, watched Jason, and grew up on Austin St. John's, was just as confused as most of us. Is like, why is he not in the last few? Like, why did they film it this way? What's going on?
Yeah.
That stuff. And then years later, as an adult, we get the answers, but still. And then right out the gate, my first prop for Power Rangers was the first Megazord we built for 2018.
Wow.
So that
wow.
was the most ambitious. It's like sink or swim, guys. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to show you guys that we're fans.
And wow.
And that was it.
And we'll be able to see the new one tomorrow, right?
Today.
Or today.
Well, actually, you probably can't because you need to stay for the next panel.
Yep, exactly. So,
Definitely.
actually, real quick, go down the line. Tell the people where they can find you, and
We have time for one more
one.
question.
Okay, we'll. Alrighty.
Nice.
Oh,
Yes. You just started.
That's for the 3D printers.
Yeah, we the 3D printer.
Yeah.
I haven't experimented with them, but I go basic with Cura, just because it's good enough to do what you need, and I haven't done anything more complicated with G code or coding myself. So Cura is just the easy one to go with.
Same for you.
yeah, I think Cura. I forgot the name. I think it is. I think I use a Cura, and I think I use like Howlet.
Art.
For splicing, I use a X-Acto knife, and I just
I slice it, dice it. Are FDM or resin? Okay, so Chitubox.
Chitubox, yeah.
Chitubox. And my advice for Chitubox is always know which printer you're trying to print on. Fortunately, with resin printers, you can't really make the mistake. With FDM,
Yeah.
if you put in the wrong G code for I have 4 different brands of printers, and I accidentally put in the wrong G code because I thought I sliced it on one of my other printers and I didn't, and the printer starts doing all this weird stuff. the thing with resin printers, it just won't read the file.
Yeah.
But I did not know that at first, so I'm pulling my hair out going, why? I thought I had to update my firmware. I thought I had to just get a new flash drive, all that stuff, and then found out, oh, I sliced it for my mono, and this is the mono X4K. That's why it's not reading. Another thing is really get good at when the I know words.
Supports?
I do. Thank you so much. The support where it actually touches the print. Get really good at dialing that in so it's so much easier to take off and you have less imperfections, because sometimes when you rip it apart, you'll have like a divot come out, like when you golf and you get a divot out of that. And also the length that you can get away with from the tip to the actual main support, because sometimes when you got to go in there and you do have to cut, if you can't get the cutter right here, and because your gap isn't far enough. So just keep in mind like how wide your tweezers are if you do have to go in and start cutting your supports. So that's it. But Chidu boxes, and I don't have the pro version, but I do know my friend speaks very highly of it. So once you get a couple of $100 and you can afford to upgrade to the pro, I'm gonna do that. I have not, because if it ain't broke, yeah. And KISS, keep it simple, stupid. It's for me. I'm not calling you guys stupid, but if I can do this stuff, I know every single one of you guys can figure this stuff out. So
Also, YouTube.
YouTube.
Good source.
YouTube is
And
You just find a lot of stuff in
specifically go on Facebook groups that are specific to your printer. Like that's the best advice you can get, because
The community is great.
they're not gatekeep. The 3D printing community they do not gatekeep. They can't wait to tell you way more than you need to know.
So, before we go, I would love everyone to go down one more time and tell the people where they can find you.
Well, I'm Toku Kid. You can find me on Instagram at Toku Kid and TikTok at TKD3D. And if you want to see any of my crystals, they'll be on sale tomorrow on the Illuminati booth.
And they are not bouncy balls. Remember that.
They're not bouncy balls.
Yeah, Ichigo Mike. I have just go by in social media. I have K Writer Ichigo. It's a really long title. Maybe searched on Instagram, you just type Ichigo Mike and you probably find my profile, seeing me in my writer suit. So, good luck trying to find that. But and I got YouTube channel. I post fan films, cosplay stuff.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
My name is Danny Castellanos. You can search me up, or you can just put in Surf Rat Surfer, and you'll find all my handles like that.
You can also see him at the panel next door in panel room A in one now actually.
I'm Prime Directives Armory, and I'm at booth 833 tomorrow and Sunday.
Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you over a couple rooms. Panel room A.
Thank you, guys.